Hey guys, welcome back to Kingdom Family Culture. Made it back to Phoenix.
We're back.
We're back in Phoenix.
Sorry to all of you who are in Indiana who just had snow yesterday. We don't have snow.
There's no snow here in Phoenix. Like, ever.
You may wonder if we're back in Arizona, why are we still staying on the road? Partially because we are still kind of in transition and we're building family here as well.
A question that we've been asked, and a question that we've asked, probably one of the biggest questions, is how did you travel for 4 months on the road and not work? That's a great question. So let me say this. If I had some friends that I really, like we were good friends, and they came to me and they said, hey, look, God told me to quit my job and leave our home and sell all our stuff and go and travel, I would say to them, you really need to rethink that. And yeah, maybe that's not God. I'm pretty practical when it comes to those kinds of things. But if there's anything I've learned about following God, it very rarely makes sense to a mind that works on the system of the world. The ways of God confound the wise, and it's just, he just doesn't do things based on practicality or efficiency. So within that context, God told us to quit my job, leave our home, and travel. And the thing is, we ran out of money somewhere after LA. I mean, after the first month on the road. In fact, we even had money that would have gotten us quite a bit further, and God told us to give it away. So everything from that point on was totally relying on Him. And here's the crazy thing: He provided. And he actually did it. A lot of that, I would love to share, details and stuff of how that worked, but that involves other people's stories as well. So I'm not going to share other people's stories yet, but suffice it to say that God provided through friends, through family, and through people we didn't even know, and got us from LA to Redding to Indiana to Tennessee to back to Arizona. and it was incredible. Especially, I really thought, okay, God's calling us on this, road trip. We'll go do that. That'll be cool, and then we'll get back to Phoenix and get back to real grown-up, responsible adult life, and God will kind of get over this whole thing he's doing, And he kind of laughed at that, and he's like, no, this is actually what we're doing now.
And like we shared before, there were a lot of times when we didn't know how we were going to go on. We had reached the end of what we had, and it looked hopeless. And for me, all along, I didn't have a doubt. I knew it was going to happen. I didn't know how. I didn't know how we were going to make it through. But I knew that somehow God was going to provide. So before we left, my mother's heart had a really hard time, because I knew that God was going to provide, but I didn't know how. And I wept, because I'm like, we need you to provide. We need you to show up. We need you to come through for us. And I really hope you're going to. But I also, in my soul, I knew he was going to provide for us. I knew that he wouldn't leave us stranded. He wasn't going to put us to shame, that he was going to provide every single time. And so then about halfway through, when God spoke about fear, I was like, okay, we don't have to be afraid. I can trust. We're gonna make it. And so I had a full confidence that I knew God's got us. He's gonna show up. After the first couple times that he came through, I was like, yep, he's got us. No problem, no worries. Like, I don't know how, but we're gonna make it. It's gonna happen. And so a confidence rose up in me that for me, doubt was done. I didn't doubt anymore that we were gonna make it.
Yeah, and for me, it was a bit different. So God actually took me through a process where he exposed all the parts of my soul that at best didn't trust him and didn't know how to trust him, and at worst hated him. And sometime in Indiana, God just spoke to me and he said, look, he's like, I'm aware of all the parts of your soul that hate me, and I'm not scared of that. And that's where I really learned, while I was still a sinner, Christ died for me. Because I grew up in church. I never really got into drugs or, anything crazy. And, and that's, there was just kind of this sense of, self-righteousness and just this nasty judgmental attitude that I developed. And I didn't really understand what that meant until God dredged up all the parts of my soul that really were in opposition to him. And I mean hated him. And he exposed that for what it was. And he didn't, here's what he did. He proved his love to those parts of my soul. And that was world shaking to me. That was really foundational. I used to pray this prayer that was like, God, I surrender. I don't care what it takes. I don't care what I have to do. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what people think. I want you, and I want more of you. I want everything you have. And when I would pray that, it would be almost like, ha, soul, you don't get a say. You don't get a you don't get a vote. And it was almost like I would pray that, that surrender in opposition to my soul. And it was like, I don't care what you have to say. This is the direction we're going. That was kind of my attitude with that. And the thing is, God held me in that, and he answered that, you know. I mean, I think that's one of the best things you can do is just tell God for real, like, I surrender everything. I don't care what it looks like, because he's got your back, you know. He will move circumstances. He will move heaven and earth to fulfill a prayer like that. And that's good. But I noticed he did that for me. And what I feel now is like my soul foundationally trusts him to the point where it's like I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid. And just last week he told me, just as I took fear from you, I'm now taking doubt. And so whatever I've spoken to you, whatever words I've given to you, that's it. I've spoken. And so the only process left now is to stand in agreement with me. And that hit me, and it was like, oh, okay, you're for real. Like, you really, no doubt. Okay. And I realized it wasn't something I could do. It was something he just took it from me. He just took doubt away. And I just was like, you know, okay, so what do we do now? And God was basically like, I want you to love me and love your neighbors as yourself. And I was like, okay, come on. It's not that simple, you know? And he's like, yeah, it is.
The other day, God led me to find the Passion Translation, which I've heard other people share from, but I've never actually read myself. And he had me go to Ephesians. And in the first chapter of Ephesians, he just spoke to me. And he said, you know, I chose you and I joined you with me before ever laying the foundation of the world. And what he spoke to me in that was, I had your whole life planned out. Every detail of my perfect will for you. Planned out before I laid the foundation of the universe. And so this whole trip doesn't surprise me. Like, I prepared the table for you for your whole life. Every table that you need, every table of provision that you need is already prepared for you. And I prepared it before I ever made the first thing. And that just really encouraged me. Like, not only, you know, he wasn't surprised by anything, but he had every single detail planned long before we even knew this trip was a thing. And so it just gives me confidence that I don't have to doubt, because he has the rest of our life. He has every detail already planned out, every table of provision that we need for the rest of our life. They're already set, and they're just waiting for the appointed time for us to reach them. So now God has really put on our heart that we are building family here. And this family culture that he's putting on our heart, kingdom family culture, we are figuring out what that looks like and just allowing him to show us step by step what this looks like. What are we moving toward? And what is he building through us? And so it starts small and intimate. And so that's what we're doing right now. We're just being a family with the family that he's giving us, and being, you know, encouraging each other and building each other up, just as they did in the days of Acts.